There we go. Let's get Facebook in here. Let's do it to it. Get the wheels spinning. We'll see if Facebook works. It says it's working. I got a feeling it's not going to work, but we're here. We're working. It's time to talk a little Broncos for breakfast. I am Nick Kendell, joined by Erick Trickel. Erick, welcome to Friday, day 2 of the NFL draft. My favorite day of the draft because there's still so much talent available. There's a little bit more pace to it. And while you maybe not are going to get your, blue chip pedigree superstar guys, this is where I think you really make or break draft classes. If you find solid, cost-controlled starters day 2 of the draft, you're going to really raise the floor of your team and keep your roster consistently healthy. So we're here today. The Broncos didn't end up trading up, so we have our lot of picks, no comp picks. I did like the days when we were having like 3 day 2 picks. That was a lot of fun. But how are you doing? Did you get much sleep last night? I was up until 1 o'clock, just kind of excited about the whole thing and processing it. And I haven't even looked at the first round as a whole. I've just been so siloed on the Broncos and the Falcons and what that means for those two teams with their picks.
Yeah, I mean, I was up till about 1, which is 2 a.m. your time, and wasn't anything. It was just conversations, just seeing what's going on and everything. And, while the Broncos didn't trade back into the first round, they explored it, and they're still exploring a trade up into the early second. And one of those things that was noteworthy, I think, in the post-game press conference, and I think it's relevant, is George Paton said that they were only eyeballing one running back, and that was in a trade down scenario. And from what's been going around, that running back may still be available, which may be why they're still trying to push up. Which, if that is true, maybe they weren't as high on Omarion Hampton as we all thought. But I'm excited for it. I'm with you. I really love day 2, but day 3 is my favorite day. That's where I absolutely love, putting all the work I do into the show and really, highlighting that aspect of it. But I'm excited. I really like the pick. I'm glad that I've seen some Broncos fans that didn't really like the pick. They've started to come around to it a little bit and, had the time to process. And I'm excited to see what the Denver's going to do. There's still a lot of talent. I did an article this morning, a little before we went live, about what's still left. And I was told to keep it like to 20 prospects at max. I think I ended up throwing in like 40 because there is that much talent still left.
I think I've emboldened you not to listen to the guardrails that Chad has put in place. So I apologize for that, Chad. We're just passionate. And you know who else is passionate? Everybody in the chat. It's a special Friday morning episode. If you guys could do us a favor, click the thumbs up and leave a comment, say hello. Tell me what your favorite pick was last night. How do you feel about the AFC West adding Ashton Genty and Jahdae Barron? Are you a little bit bummed the Broncos didn't get a tight end? Where are we at? And above all else, if you are able and willing, a super chat goes a long way, and we'll definitely get you if you have a super chat. Tim Hall coming in, $4.99. Good morning to you, Tim. He says, thanks for the great draft coverage. Love the pick, but may have preferred Derek Harmon or getting an extra day 2 pick, but I'm not a general manager, so I'll trust the pros. Yeah, the Broncos. So one thing that being on this side now and with what Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it is, with everything in today's landscape, is that you can kind of see what picks are run the card in and which ones actually take the entirety of the clock. Because like for the NFL presentation, they take the time. But when picks are being tipped, like on the Colts pick, I was shocked. It was up there immediately after pick 13 was on the board. Like, yep, Tyler Warren, whatever. Falcons took forever. They had Goodell walking to the stage before the pick was announced on Twitter that I saw. And the Broncos took a long time too. So while I do think they were debating a lot of Jahdae Barron there, and they were happy to have him, they were definitely, just reading the tea leaves, definitely trading or wrestling with a trade back option. Probably what the Giants offered in the end, and they end up going with Jahdae Barron instead. So, I mean, I'm always a fan of trading back. I did have Harmon higher on my board with a caveat that I don't have the medical information. There was apparently some medical stuff. I don't know whether the Broncos had it or not, but excited to have Barron. Yeah, and as Tim Hall says here, I'm not a GM. I trust the pros. What Peyton and Peyton have done have earned the benefit of the doubt. I hate appeal to authority, but they've earned the benefit of the doubt with the turnaround the last 3 off seasons.
Yeah, and with Harmon specifically, I mentioned how I was having conversations late into the night. One of those conversations I had was with somebody who was talking about the Oregon Pro Day, and one of the things they had Derek Harmon do, and it was something that they noticed at the combine, is that when he would strike with his left arm, there wasn't as much force, there wasn't as much displacement on the bags. So they put him through a drill, and they put through all the defensive front guys through it, where they're striking with their right hand, striking with their left hand, seeing the difference in force. And the issue is Derek Harmon has serious concerns about that left shoulder, and that was flagged, that teams have flagged throughout the process. And when they did that drill, there was hardly any force coming. There wasn't much movement off the bag when he was striking with that left shoulder, which is raising questions. How much can he do? How much power can he bring as a pass rusher or run defender off that left side? Or will that left side be just a continued weakness? Obviously, the Steelers, they're not as concerned with it. But from what I've gathered, it was a major issue for the Broncos. Not, I wouldn't say it took him off their board, but at the very least, it definitely dropped him for them.
Yeah, who's not dropping for me? Drew Huddick with the 199 super with the picture of those sunglasses raised. Thank you, Drew, over on YouTube. We do got Facebook in here today. Thank God it's holding up. So hopefully that'll be the case tonight. Again, make sure you guys subscribe, click the thumbs up, and hit us up on Twitter as well if you guys are out there. Do want to keep saying hello to the supers. Denver Luke, no fly zone 2.0, baby. Yeah, we'll see. They got to stay healthy. I don't think I'm ready to put the defensive line on par with the Broncos no fly zone defensive line. But this has a chance to, again, be a top 3 defense this season. A lot of people are like, oh, this is definitely going to be the number 1 defense. Eagles and the Texans are still out there, pretty darn talented. But, at that point, you're talking margins. And it's hard to sustain. Defense is volatile year to year. So the investment they've made gives them a chance to be that team again this season. Thank you so much, Denver Luke. Troy coming in, $20. Thank you, Troy, so much. The super chat rolling in here. This is a big one. And we always appreciate Troy, not just, obviously, the monetary contribution, which we love, but the pleasantness as well. Just a good guy. It's great to have you in here, regardless of the support like this. Love the pick. You can't say the best prospect and then throw a fit when they do it. Feels like the rage after Surtain pick that turned to love. Everyone can cover and tackle. Love it. Yeah, I was definitely, I'm not going to BS you. I was more Justin Fields there because if you don't have a quarterback, you better take a chance at quarterbacks, and that ends up being the right pick. But process-wise, it's a lot different when you don't have a quarterback compared to where the Broncos are now. This is somewhat of a luxury because of the work the Broncos have done building up this roster, the lack of holes that they have, and having a quarterback. Does he make as much of a 2025 impact as Omarion Hampton, Travion Henderson? Maybe, yes, no. Probably not going to get as many touches, obviously. But your draft picks are not supposed to be just through the lens of 2025. What is this player's profile 2027? What does he look like after 3 years in the league? That's real. I know the Broncos are in it right now, but that's what your process should be when evaluating these guys. After 2 to 3 years in the league, who do we see them as? Barron has a chance to be one of the better defensive backs in football and an identity piece for the Broncos, a culture piece for the Broncos. So I'm excited about it. What do you think, Eric?
Yeah, I love it. And when we get into it even a little bit more, I'll probably go on a little tangent and I'll be throwing a lot of stats at you guys. So get ready for that. Not going to do it just yet. And it's going to be talking about Jaquan McMillan. It's going to be talking about Riley Moss and Jahdae Barron, comparing the two. Granted, 2 in the NFL, 1 in college. So obviously a grain of salt with it. But I absolutely love the pick. I love the versatility. He's a guy who you don't have to worry about in zone coverage like you do with Jaquan McMillan. He doesn't have the durability concerns to the extent of Riley Moss does, so you don't really have to worry about that. He's a sound run defender. He's a sound tackler. Yeah, there's some size concerns there, but one thing that I always say is when you have a guy who's a little bit on the shorter arm side, how much does it affect him? It didn't have a major negative impact on Barron. Doesn't mean there weren't plays where the length didn't show up or the lack of length showed up. It just means that it wasn't, a consistent issue. He has some tricks up his sleeve to help limit that and the overall impact of it. I like the pick. I understand what the whole need at running back and passing up on Omarion Hampton, who's everyone was pegging as the guy. But what Troy Brewer says, you can't say take the best prospect and then throw a fit when they do. Yeah. The very first thing that you have to do with the draft is draft good players. Every general manager, every coach, George Payton, Sean Payton, they've said it, draft good players and then worry about the rest. Worry about how they're going to see the field. Worry about how you're going to use them. Just draft good players first.
Yep. Absolutely. And talking about Barron, I do think that some of the link shows up at the catch point, specifically on vertical routes, like down the field. If you're asking him to play above the rim, more so an issue on the boundary than I think in the slot. when he has to, those down plays without the help as much over top. That can be an issue for him that I found. But I think it's less of an issue for a slot. And sometimes with the length, you're going to worry about that in run defense. And he's so smart and knifes in, and I think is good with his hands, despite the lack of length, that he can still make an impact, get through the trash, and win engagement battles in the run game coming downhill. So I expect him to be a slot with boundary flexibility depending on injuries as well. But I think more of the Trent McDuffie role for him, potentially Brian Branch as well, the alley player. But kick to the boundary if needed, going to make hay mostly in the slot. And if you're going to be living in sub defense, I mean, the Broncos talked about it last night. Sub is the new base. If you're going to be living with 3 to 5 defensive backs on the field, his best home is going to be that slot spot, in my opinion. But he does have versatility to move around as well. A defensive joker. I'm glad that Broncos country is joking about that one today. And no doubt, with how good the Broncos secondary is going to be, they're not going to be an underdog in many instances this upcoming season.
Yeah, so speaking of underdogs, do you ever watch sports and find yourself wishing there was a way to get into the game? Well, let's go. With Underdog, there's finally a way to make picks on sports without leaving the house. The game is in your hands.
To play, choose whether a player will go higher or lower on one of their stats, such as touchdowns, strikeouts, points scored, and more. They've got all your favorite leagues, teams, and starts to choose from. Create entries with all basketball picks, or mix and match across other sports. You can play with as little as $1, and you can get up to $1,000 if you get everything right. Win up to 1,000 times your money. So turn $1 into 1,000 with just your sports knowledge.
That's right. I absolutely love playing Underdog. You can download the Underdog app and sign up now using promo code MHuddle to unlock a special offer of up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you make your first deposit. Join in on the fun when you sign up with promo code MHuddle. Claim your special offer today and get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly upon your first deposit.
Must be 18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama, Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado. For some games, 21 plus in Massachusetts and Arizona, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Void in Colorado. Concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org. Arizona, 100 next step or text next step to 53342. New York, call it 24/7 Hope line and Hope at 1-877-8 Hope NY or text Hope NY. All righty. A lot of fun here. The caffeine's definitely hitting. Now we got more super chats. The great Browse coming in here saying now let's trade up for Henderson. Definitely possible. Henderson. I'm keeping an eye out for Mason Taylor today as well. Quinshon Judkins, Caleb Johnson. Who knows? A lot of options still available. Defensive tackles. Omar Norman Lott, Alfred Collins. There'll be some stuff. Rob Bucksbaum. Good morning. Nick and Eric have really come to like the pick. I had hope Broncos country would. It's like kind of like the shock, right? You're like, oh, it's right there. Everything's playing out. It's kind of like Bo Nix last season. Feels like the rug pulled under you. But the more you learn about it, you hear the people in charge talk about it, the more excited you can get behind it. So he says, not a deep cornerback class is a need and got a stud. Let's push to get Caleb or Trey today. Plenty of options. Eric, this is going to sound blasphemous, and I don't think the Broncos will do it, but I've had this take for a while. This running back class is so deep. I think you're going to see an absolute run round 4. Like, I no doubt on that. Round 4 is going to be bang, 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 bang. The running back class is so deep, and I think the Broncos are good enough at identifying the roles that they want. They could wait until day 3, and I would still be fine with it. Honestly, they won't do it. Broncos country will lose their mind. I never say never. I don't think they'll do that, but they could, and I would be fine with it. Truly, I would be fine with it.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at it and you go back and listen to George Payton, he said multiple times, round 2 to round 6. So I'm with you. I would be fine with it. This running back class is that strong. You're going to get what would typically be round 2, round 3 talent falling to the 4th and 5th round because it is that strong. I mean, when I was building up my own board, there was guys that I was putting in the 6th round that's like, ugh, like I got to push them down a little bit because there are only a certain amount of spots that I put in each round as well. But they have a grade that would typically put them a little bit higher. And it was a little tough to put them there in the 6th round when it's like, hey, this guy should be going in the 4th round. I'm with you. I don't think Denver does it, but I would be totally okay with it. This running back class is that good. And we've been trying to tell you for months that this running back class is that good.
And the other aspect of that is I said it the show yesterday morning or Wednesday morning, said it during the live stream yesterday. There is such an influx of young running backs coming in that what's going to happen? You're going to get many teams getting Samaje Perine situations where you have and better caliber players than Samaje Perine. But the situation is like, okay, we have the veteran here who has a obvious role and he's a useful piece, but we have the 4-year guy that we just brought in with this current regime. See ya, veteran. You're on the way out. So we're on James Cook watch right now. We're on Breece Hall watch. We're on Kenneth Walker watch. We're on Tyler Algier watch. And are those guys going to be superstars? No, but you might be able to pay 60 cents on the dollar compared to an equivalent draft prospect this cycle. So Broncos have options. If they trade up for one of the first 5 picks, jump the Bears to go get Travion Henderson, I wouldn't be shocked at all. I'm not against that either, but they could wait. And I trust this regime. And one thing about the Jahdae Barron pick too, you're a nerd, Eric. No,
Yep.
I love you. But a Dungeons and Dragons, I'm not sure what this Sean Payton's kind of like a amulet that amplifies the strength of the offense, right? It's like you have your offense as graded as a 70 overall. Let's just say it's that. Okay, insert Sean Payton, your play caller, plus 10. Now they're automatically an 80 with Sean Payton. I don't know if they feel that way about the defense. So just Sean Payton, trusting in him to put guys in the right spot, Bo Nix to execute with the offensive line being what it is. Like that's, I think, the one non-negotiable quarterback who's making the reads and doing what Sean Payton wants, plus the offensive line. I think Sean Payton thinks he can scheme guys open if he has those two things with the elite defense. So excited about Barron. Let's keep it rolling here. Noah, good morning, guys. First time catching a live, but I have been listening for about 2 years. Oh my gosh, Noah. Well, thank you so much. That's amazing. And we're happy to have you here. Hoping for a trade up in round 2 tonight. The Broncos have had 3 trades up round 2, 3, 4 in the last 2 drafts. I think it's happening, and I think you're probably pulling from the 2026 well, which always makes me a little queasy. That's one reason I like trading back to get that extra picks before you do that. But we'll see. Nathan coming in. I thought of George Payton taking an offensive Green Bay, maybe taking an offensive weapon round 1. Surprising. Looking forward to the rest of your coverage. I'm amazed Eric can do all the draft coverage, morning pods without coffee. Cheers. Yeah, Eric is it amphetamines? What is it? No, I'm just kidding. Gosh, no drugs, kids. Dare. We're a Dare supportive show. Yeah, Eric, we appreciate you. No caffeine. You do energy drinks stuff though, right?
I do energy drinks, and I have a brand. There's a brand of caffeinated gummies out there that I use as well. Not sure I should give the name, but it's a Twitch streamer that I watch. He and a group of his friends helped create it, run the company, and so I use that as well.
Wow. Awesome. I saw my mom in here somewhere. Good morning, Mom. Love you. Coach Chris in the house. He says Chris Harris 2.0, quality running back and wide receiver can be taken in the 2nd through 4th. Totally stoked with this pick. We got a projected top 10 player at 20. Have a great day, Broncos fan. Rounds 2 is right around the corner. Yeah, round 2, day 2, a lot of fun here. Coach Chris, thank you so much for the $20 super chat. Another one who just always consistently comes in. I don't know if we gave Nathan enough love too for the $10 super. We appreciate you guys. That makes a heck of a dent. And helping us on this show. And we got Mike Gibbons too. Awesome 1 pick, great draft coverage. Well, we appreciate that, Mike. You guys were making fun of me a little bit this morning because I was super hyped and animated about the Barron pick. I think I was kind of trying to bring the energy because the draft or the chat was so negative about him. Like, guys, this is a good player. Like, they only do this if they love this guy. So I'm excited about that. And I'm excited about the $49.99 super chat. God bless. Lawrence Rivera. Guys, it sounds like Sean wanted to trade back. Did you get that impression? I think it was an option, but wanting to trade back. I mean, hearing Sean in the post-game press conference, it was, we watched this guy and we kind of all went silent because like we're watching something special and different here. So I think that he's really excited about Barron.
Yeah, last night you and Lance talking about the pick, you guys mentioned a couple times, like, was this a Vance Joseph guy? Was this a George Payton guy? This was a combination of everyone's guy. Sean Payton loved him, and he really wanted him. Even though he's the offensive guy, he really wanted him on the team. They had trade offers, and that was the conversation. You mentioned earlier in the show about how they took all the time on the clock. The conversation was, do we trade down or do we take Barron? There was no other aspect to that conversation. That was it. And obviously they decided on Barron. He was a talent that they can't pass up. As I said last night, I've heard a couple mixed things. It seems like after some conversation last night, it's more top 10 instead of top 5 where they viewed him as that. And again, just couldn't pass him up for a guy who is a significant upgrade over their nickel. And talking about with his usage, some of those conversations kind of seem like they're going to look at him to start opposite Surtain and then either slide him down to the slot, which is what's believed to be the most likely, or put Moss in the slot. Either way, he seems to be the starter, pegged to be the starter opposite Surtain going into the season, which makes sense as a first round pick.
Yeah, and that's what the Chiefs do with Trent McDuffie, right? If it's base, your heavy personnel out there for then with only 2 cornerbacks, Trent McDuffie goes to the boundary. But you're playing 3 cornerbacks most of the time. That's what's going to be 60%, 65% of your defensive looks. So you see McDuffie moving in there, and you have something here.
I just have the snap counts on it. Last
Okay.
year, last night we dealt a lot with about how, he's just a depth player. Last year, Jaquan McMillan played 918 snaps. That was the 30th most out of all corners 80 corners in the NFL.
Qualifying.
The top 80 in snap counts. He was 30th in snap counts. Riley Moss had 912 snaps. Granted, he missed that time with injury. Patrick Surtain was a little over 1,000, also missed time with injury. But that being 30th out of 80 goes to show that is a starter quality amount of snaps, even if he's not getting the start. So that right there speaks to it. And just to throw this out there, Jahdae Barron had played 971 snaps last year.
Yeah, and he is a super versatile piece as well. I mean, I know that we're always a little bit scared with these versatile pieces. Are they tweeners or are they actually hybrids out there? I don't think he's actually a hybrid. Like, you have those guys that are like Isaiah Simmons that really don't have a home. I think you do have a home with Barron. I think it is the slot with the ability to be played in the box, play a mug from time to time, maybe some safety looks, maybe some boundary looks. He's going to be a weapon against running backs and tight ends in the pass game, and going to be if you're living in 11 personnel, you need some physicality. 11 personnel defense, that is. You're going to need some physicality to take on the 2 running backs that were just added to the AFC West. So, Lawrence, thank you for the super chat. We're going to keep some more super chats going here. Yeah, Miguel with the New Mexico Bronco flag. Long time, fellows. The defense is going to be wicked. Go running back at some point. The defense line the rest. Running back, tight end, wide receiver, safety, interior offensive line, 2 running backs. I mean, they're letting the board fall to them. They're going to have options. They're in a acquire talent perspective, and that needs to happen. Lawrence Ferris saying Dylan Sampson, another running back there. And Sean Payton is putting a cap on Texas players. Yeah, shout out to Sarkisian out there at Texas. Texas was has been for a number of years, but my God, the talent they have. I mean, let's be real. The national championship last year was Texas versus Ohio State. Those were the 2 most talented teams. No disrespect to Oregon, but the NFL talent. Oregon is probably next, but Oregon, Texas, and Ohio State, those were the premium, and Georgia, premium programs last season. And Texas has some unbelievable talent out there. And Broncos, man, do we bet, Eric? Would you bet on another Texas player day 2? Because if you are, I think I would suggest checking out DraftKings.
Yeah, so, I have to find it. Sorry, I ruined the segue.
I nailed it, man.
The Great Rewards Hunt is on, so join the adventure with DraftKings Casino. For fun seekers, follow the trail to huge jackpots, 3 weekly bonuses, and exclusive games. But the excitement is only getting started because new players sign up with code MileHighPod and wager a minimum of $5 to receive 500 casino spins on a featured game. Only on the most rewarding place to play, DraftKings Casino. Again, that's code MileHighPod.
That's right. The crown is yours. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER in Connecticut. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. 21 plus, physically present in Michigan, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, West Virginia only. Void in Connecticut and Ontario. Eligibility restrictions apply. New customers only. Non-withdrawable casino spins valid for featured games only and expire in 168 hours. See terms at casino.draftkings.com/promos. Ends April 27th, 2025 at 11:59 p.m. Eastern time. So thank you to DraftKings. Appreciate them and appreciate everyone coming in today, hanging out with us. We're live. You guys got any questions for us? I know we haven't even said hello to so many people in here. 78 Leadhead. Appreciate all the support last night. I see Quentin Caldwell's in the house as well. Conga. Great to see Mike Thompson in the house. Judson Koch, of course. David Youngkin in here. Noah in here with the Rock Chalk Jayhawk. Micah, our guy across the pod out there in Manchester. Great to see you. Greg Smith's in the house. DeAndre Weatherspoon, Jason Bonney. Jason, I hope you slept on it and are feeling a little better. William James Baker from Sydney, killing it. Roy Osborne. Amy Alez joins us on Facebook, normally on X. So good to see you over on the Facebook side of the things. There's my mom. Good morning. Good morning, Mom. Hope you're doing well. We got our guy, Jeremy Sean, in the house. He says surprised and very happy with the pick. Yeah, Eric, I am. full disclosure, on my big board, I did have Jahdae Barron 18th, I believe, with Omarion Hampton 17th, and then I think Travion Henderson. I might be off by one slot there, but I know it was Omarion Hampton, Jahdae Barron, Travion Henderson. Why did I knock Barron? I didn't think that he had the boundary cornerback upside, which I value higher. And it's the combination of the age, 23, 24 years old, older cornerbacks tend to fall off a cliff. So if he was 21, that's a little different than 23, 24. And also the arm length. I'm a little bit concerned about the arm length for him right at the catch point, at the moment of truth, as they call it. That might be a little bit of an issue. But again, the character is A+, and the Broncos got one of the best Swiss Army knife players that a lot of people just, regardless of situation, I would have had Barron higher on my board, Eric, if I wasn't specific Broncos lens. So happy to have him here. And why am I so happy about it, despite having Hampton one spot higher? Because this to me says that the Broncos have to absolutely freaking love this guy to have him up there and to take him despite those other needs, those other guys available. So I'm stoked about the process and what it means for the defense and this team going forward.
Yeah, and on that, I had Jahdae Barron, a second round grade, but if you look at my big board, I only had 12 or 13 players with first round grades. Jahdae Barron was my 19th overall graded player. So right there about where he ended up getting drafted. And I don't put my grades through a Broncos lens. It's just in general based off of my grade for them. And again, I absolutely love the pick. I'm gonna get into some of these stats here over these guys. Jaquan McMillan, if he is upgrading, if they're looking at Jahdae Barron upgrading in the slot, 110 targets on Jaquan McMillan. That was tied for the most in the NFL last year. He allowed 79 catches, which was the most in the NFL last year. Allowed for 778 yards, sixth most in the NFL last year. 413 yards after the catch. And this is a big one. 413 yards after the catch, which was the second most in the NFL. There was serious issues with basically McMillan just flat out getting beat and then struggling to make the tackle at times when that happened. Run defense grade was 55.3, and we know my feelings about Pro Football Focus's run defense or grades in general, but this is the easiest thing to throw out there for it. That was the 15th worst. He played 771 snaps in the slot, which was the second most in the NFL. Got penalized 7 times, 3 touchdowns allowed, 2 interceptions, 6 pass breakups. Riley Moss, 7 penalties. Again, 4 touchdowns allowed, 1 interception, 4 pass breaks up. His run defense grade was 25th at 59.2. 97 targets, which was 10th most. 62 catches, 9th most. 713 yards, 11th. At least Riley Moss was a reliable enough tackler. 149 yards after the catch allowed, which was the 60th most. Then you get to Jahdae Barron in college. Only 2 penalties this last year. That's one thing about him. He's a feisty player, but he knows how to keep it in check and not get called a lot for penalties. Didn't allow a single touchdown. 5 interceptions, 9 passes broken up. He allowed 131 yards after the catch, 284 total yards, 68 targets, 37 catches, 83.4 run defense grade. I saw somebody last night make a comment about how we didn't watch Jahdae Barron enough because he's not a good run defender. No, he is a really good run defender. He really brings it. And, Jahdae Barron, he did play more snaps in it. Granted, college level to NFL, there's a difference there. But we got a lot of comments about how good the secondary was last year. Even before the injury, Riley Moss was inconsistent at best. Mm-hmm. And Jaquan McMillan, he really fell off after the first about 8 games or so. And that's where, the concern comes in. He's a man nickel only who really struggles in zone coverage. Teams discovered that, and when they were able to read zone, they exploited it. And then you get into this other fact. There's a lot of focus about the running backs. Ashton Jeanty was added. Omarion Hampton was added. Let's not forget what Denver faces in the slot 6 times a year. They have Xavier Worthy with the Kansas City Chiefs, Ladd McConkey, who absolutely destroyed the Broncos, taking advantage of Jaquan McMillan and the poor linebacker play. Then you have a combination of Trey Tucker and Brock Bowers with the Las Vegas Raiders. This season, you had Devontae Smith playing out of the slot. You had CeeDee Lamb, who he's an inside-outside, played over 50% of his snaps inside of the slot. You have Diami Brown and Travis Hunter with the Jaguars. The talk is that Travis Hunter is going to be an outside who slides inside when they go to 3 wide receiver sets. Tyler Lockett was added to the Titans. Tank Dell, depending on his health. You have Josh Downs and Tyler Warren for the Indianapolis Colts. Wan'Dale Robinson and Malik Neighbors for the New York Giants, Terry McLaurin. So it's not like Denver doesn't face a lot of talented slots that made it necessary to upgrade over Jahdae Barron either.
Yeah, and to that point, circling back around, Jahdae Barron allows you to play your nickel defense, dime package defense, whilst not really being super vulnerable against the run. Now, I don't think he is absolutely elite as a run defender, Eric. I think he's got the heart, but sometimes that lack of length and being like right at 200 pounds, there'll be a few times where he goes at a guy's ankles or somebody will plant the foot and get around him, which is fine. But as far as you got Genty, you got Hampton now, but you don't want to be sitting there and base 3-4 against those teams all the time, even though that's what Harbaugh wants to do to you, right? And Pete Carroll probably too. But you can live in 11 personnel, the defense, sub package, nickel, whatever you want to call it, and be okay against those guys all the same. And the other aspect here that I have, Eric, just wanted to touch on real quick, is that the games in the NFL this past season, possessions are way down. Teams are protecting the ball. They're understanding that avoiding negative plays is as valuable as hunting for those explosives, especially with explosives going away. Well, we better damn well not be turning the ball over and taking sacks. And what does Barron do? Elite ball production. And why that even matters more for the Broncos, because opposing defenses, now that we have Surtain coming off of the defensive player of the year, they're not going to throw at number 2 out there for good reason. The ball's got to go somewhere else. Well, now you have somebody like Barron with the instincts, with some of the best click and close from off coverage, coming down and making a play on the football of anybody in this class, with versatility. The ball's going to be coming. So are you throwing it at Surtain? No, I think they're going to test Barron out there. Well, good luck with that. Elite ball production, stealing possessions, somebody to play off of that. So again, I'm excited about the pick overall. It makes the Broncos a lot better. And did want to say hello to Robert Anderson coming in. If you got a comment for us, let us know. But $9.99 super chat. God bless you, helping us. Also, we got Jeremy Bales in here, Facebook. And also, Nathan coming back in and says, who do you think takes Shedeur? I don't know. The Browns traded back for an additional first, so they might not be in on Shedeur. They might be looking 2026 class.
Yeah, the Browns, that's been a lot of talk, is that the Browns are going to take Shedeur here, and they might. It's possible. Don't want to rule it out. But there's been, from a lot of Browns guys, there's been a lot more of that. They're willing to kick the can down the road on quarterback, roll with taking a shot on Kirk Cousins, getting him in free agency, or, just going with Joe Flacco. And then going back to Barron real quick, you mentioned the tackling and other thing. Just to slightly push back here, Jahdae Barron did show improvement this year with his tackling. He only had 7 missed tackles, and shoestring tackles are still a thing. There's still a possibility to gain sidestep, and then of course you're also making that jump. Even though the conference they played, the talent they played, there's still that jump to the NFL. Missed tackle percentage 9.5, still better than Riley Moss, who missed 13 tackles, 12.5 missed tackle percentage. Jaquan McMillan, 13 missed tackles, 13.8. So it's not like missed tackles aren't already somewhat of an issue in the quarterback room. I think Jahdae Barron is still an improvement over, especially Jaquan McMillan, in those regards. And his run defense is also still an improvement over Jaquan McMillan.
Yeah, no doubt about that. I mean, you're not bringing him in unless you're thinking that it's a big improvement there. So, yeah, it'll be exciting to see what the Broncos do with him going forward. And full transparency, going through this, I did not bang the defensive back, cornerback drum enough, just because I thought that, well, Jaquan McMillan, I have tweets out there comparing him to Luke Wattenberg. Like, it's like, we're happy to have this cheap body who is competent out there. By no means does he keep us from adding to the room or adding talent, but he's fine out there. And a lot of NFL, you can't have just big contract or first round picks across the board. There are some spots where you're going to have rookie contract guys that you use the last couple years of their contract and then fade out. Thank you for your time. We'll let somebody else pay you on the other team. That's what good teams do, and that kind of that churn of the roster talent. I thought Broncos were okay there with secondary, where you didn't need to have that guy, and there wasn't rotational snaps available. That's another thing. Where is there obvious rotational snaps? There's always snaps available for running backs. There's always snaps available for pass catchers. There's always snaps available for defensive line because they're so rotated. You don't see the rotation so much for cornerbacks, right? Your seconds, you're not getting Chris Abram drains out there for 10 snaps to give your cornerbacks breathers. He's out there if there's an injury or if you're in a very niche situation. So didn't see it that way, but man, just back to that point about adding a cornerback. it can fall off a cliff if you don't have enough cover guys out there. And we saw that last year against the Browns. That might have scared the Broncos straight, seeing what happened. They did not make a move for a cornerback because why would you pay a cornerback on the open market with the guys you have? So you bring in another cover guy with versatility to fill different spots. You are 4 or 5 deep now there with that. You might have some questions about Chris Abrams tackling. That might be another thing there with him filling out there. So you add yourself a lot of leverage. We'll see if there's any trades today with the Broncos. I think maybe if I was Jaquan McMillan's agent, I'd be saying, get me the heck out of here because I need a new contract coming up soon, and I do not want to be a backup. But we'll see. Regardless, though, value position on paper, we can debate slot versus boundary and if that's actually a value spot. But yeah, I think I didn't give enough credence to that pathway because I thought they were competent enough at cornerback.
Yeah, and it really fits in with what they've done in the secondary already with adding Talanoa Hufanga as well. It really enables Vance Joseph to do what he really wants to do in coverage. And, it gives them the ability to truly play Patrick Surtain, as an eraser against the top target. Because last year they had issues doing that because they would put Surtain on somebody and then McMillan would falter or Moss would falter. Barron is an upgrade there to help them do that. And on your point too about not pounding the table for corner enough, it was one of those positions. It's like Luke Wattenberg at center, right? You're fine, but if you can get an upgrade, you definitely do it. And in this case, that upgrade fell right into their lap at 20. And so you kind of have to do it. And it's just one of those things of like, that's how you can have a good roster and just adding good talent and letting that talent fall to you and getting them when they do. That is how you sustain sustain a strong roster. Just ask the Philadelphia Eagles with what they've done consistently with their draft picks. With even though it's not a strength, it's not a weakness, they just added to the room. Nobody's ridiculing them for adding Jahad Campbell when they seem more than fine at linebacker. Nakobe Dean, they just re-signed Zach Bond. Well, they just added another talent to the room to help make the whole room better and help cover themselves for the future, for injuries, and for all these other things for it as well. And granted, I mean, I guess you could say the Eagles earned themselves that right to an extent by winning the Super Bowl, especially the way they did. But it's still that same concept that Howie Roseman has had for years, and Howie Roseman is probably top 3 general manager in the NFL, and I wouldn't say he's number 2 or number 3 personally.
Yeah, and just Broncos, you might not say that they've earned the right, but on paper, they have so few holes and they've done so well constructing this roster over the last few seasons that they can actually play the draft value game. And if you look at, I think it was, oh my gosh, Jason Cole maybe put out a graphic. I tweeted out, but I've already tweeted out a lot today about the value a team got over consensus expectation. And the Broncos didn't get the most value in this class. Yeah, the 3 teams that did, according to consensus, it doesn't mean it's going to be right, but it was the 3 teams you'd probably guess. The Eagles, the Ravens with Malachi Starks, and the Chiefs with Josh Simmons. Broncos were like next up as far as getting the value compared to consensus on the board. Now, again, Barron does have warts, right? If he was 1 inch taller, 15 pounds heavier, and 2 inch longer arm length, we're talking about a guy who probably goes 7. I mean, with top 7 with a bullet, maybe 2 years younger too. I don't know if I said that already, but he's a very versatile player, and the Broncos just have to love him. 78 Leadhead says Peyton said Barron allows that PS2 to shadow whoever they want now. Yeah, I'll be curious to see how they utilize these guys, and it's not just the weaponization of Barron from Vance Joseph. It's also Jim Leonard, right? Defensive backs coach, can do a lot of different stuff. He's used a lot of different hybrid body types. A lot of times they've been more so on the front, but should be somebody excited that he has his hands on him as well. Quentin Caldwell says on team, love the first pick. Shock me. They love it. We have Luther, Taylor, Henderson, Johnson, and Higgins still available. Kyle Williams is available. Elijah Arroyo, depending on how they view his medicals. You got a lot of defensive tackles still available. So it will be really exciting to see what the Broncos do. Mark Schrader. Mark, I saw a picture of you with your lovely wife, Easter. Looks like you're doing well and happy and healthy. So wanted to give you a shout out, thinking about you. And great to have you in here. Mark's one of the great ones. Just a big heart, great guy. Hope you're doing well, Mark, out there in Katy, Texas. So appreciate you. So Eric, we got another 10, 20 minutes left. What are you thinking here? Day 2. We've talked a lot about Barron. We'll have plenty of time to still digest it. I'm very happy about it. Derek Harmon was my highest guy left. Just the versatility there, but I don't have all the injury information. So Barron, I'm happy about it, and I just really trust the Broncos process with this, because it could have just been like, oh, we have an obvious hole at running back. That's our best guy. Like, they probably debated it or another running back, but they're just sitting there like, we're not picking for 2025. We're picking for 2025 through 2028 plus. And I think the pick of Barron shows that. So that makes me happy about the process.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. You kind of talked about it with Patrick Surtain, the process over the results. And this is one where it really could end up being the process and the results are looking good. And I know a lot of people wanted Omarion Hampton, but you factor in the concerns over longevity at running back. And had you taken Omarion Hampton and you get 4, 5, 6 years out of him, and is that better at 20 compared to Jahdae Barron, who, may not have quite the same immediate impact year 1, but, has a greater impact overall over 10, 12 years. So there's a good conversation there, and that's going to be something that here in a few years, 5, 6 years, it's going to be fun to look back on and see what happened for it. And a lot of times when, I go back and overlook at drafts 5, 6 years ago, it's often the situation of, oh, this team that took the running back probably shouldn't have, and they probably should have taken this guy instead. That's often the result. So we'll have to wait and see in that. And again, there's a lot of talent left. I know a lot of people are worried about the run defense with this, which is understandable after watching that Bills game, but they did perform quite well during the season. They actually had the 3rd best rushing defense and rushing yards allowed, which I know isn't necessarily the best metric to go by, but it was the one that I was able to pull up the quickest and easiest. And they have the ability there. And I mean, it's one of those things, right? I've talked about it before. I kind of hinted at it last night about how, the panic over Denver unable to find weapons, yet a lot of people having faith in, Marvin Mims, a 2nd-round pick, Troy Franklin, a 4th-round pick, Devon Bailey, a 7th-round pick, of them growing and develop. Audric Estime as a 5th-round pick, some still have hope around him. And then it's kind of the same thing where you're now complaining about the run defense, and yet you were just praising DJ Jones as a run defender a month ago. It's kind of, it's a balancing act here. And with this defensive line, we're getting to the meat of the class here with the defensive line. There's still a lot of talent left. There's still a lot of great run defenders left. And one thing too, if you're looking for a big body nose tackle, there are a lot of them in this class that are primarily run defenders, guys that you could still get round 6 to fill that niche specifically. There are still options here in the 2nd and 3rd round to add to the depth at the defensive line as your 3-4 defensive ends, to replace John Franklin Myers after the season if they don't extend him or if they trade him. He's another one who could potentially be on the move. I doubt it, but it's possible. And at the very least, you're upgrading over Jordan Jackson. You're cutting into Zach Allen snap counts. They still have options there on the defensive line, which is where the big concern is with, Ashton Genty and Omarion Hampton being added. But there's still plenty of options, just as there's still plenty of options left at running back, at tight end, at wide receiver. The meat of this class is rounds 2 and 3. Sean Payton and George Payton have hinted at that multiple times, including their press conference last week. And I believe they reiterated it last night as well in their little post-draft press conference that they had. There's still a lot left. You can't judge the full draft based off the first round. There's 7 rounds for a reason. And then even then, you have undrafted free agents, which, yeah, I know the farther than draft and undrafted free agency, the odds of hitting is slimmer, but you still can find talent and still can find great options there, and still a lot of talent left.
Yeah, without a doubt. It's going to be fun. And speaking of the talent, Shiloh says, I like Jahdae, going to make rounds 2 through 4 interesting. I'm expecting some movement today, Eric. We do want to run a simulator here and talk about a lot of the options available, who are your top targets or anything you're hearing on that front. But yeah, I do expect some movement from the Broncos, no doubt, on day 2, targeting running back and tight end. One thing I will say, though, Eric, listening to the press conference yesterday, and they talk about Vance Joseph's brother coaching Jahdae Barron and really understanding him, and Sean Payton really ringing that bell. It comes back to one of the age-old truths in not just the NFL, but the world we live in. It's not exactly what you know. It's not exactly always your skills. It's who you know. It's what connections you have. So looking for connections day 2 as well. Omar Norman Lott has some connections to this team. You got Savion Jones with some connections to this team, LSU. You got Mason Taylor with some connections to this team. Is there anybody else out there? I mean, Sean Payton talked about it for a bit, just really having that surety. Is that the right word? Assuredness of knowing the character. And if anybody has questions about Jahdae Barron at home, I just want to make this plug. Go find any interview of this kid talking. You will have him wanting to marry your daughter. Like this guy gets it. I mean, he gets it. This comes in day one professional. I have no doubts that he is going to maximize every single thing, and you're going to be able to run different schemes week by week, drive by drive, with the intelligence and physical ability that you have with him. And I know everybody's like really excited about the pairing of Surtain with Barron. I'm more excited, Eric, honestly, with where I think Barron's going to play, how you're going to have Hufanga play off of Barron, because those guys are going to be in the alley and they're going to be creating some violence from the secondary for the Broncos in that alley and the box.
Yeah, and on that note about his intelligence, it's there both on and off the field. And on the field, I just reading this from Dane Brugler, something that he had to say. Barron holds a master's degree in coverage schemes and has done a great job developing the mental part of his game, giving himself a head start keying and diagnosing the quarterback and blocking schemes. That's on the field. That intelligence carries over off the field. I dare somebody to go out there and find a scouting report that has something negative about Jahdae Barron that's about the character, the maturity, the leadership, the intelligence, anything of those intangibles that fits with what Sean Payton's doing. I mean, we talked about Walter Nolan with his character issues. Well, there are absolutely none of those concerns with Jahdae Barron. No injury concerns with it. I believe I'm not entirely sure if he missed any time from injury during college off the top of my head. I don't think he did, but all those intangibles, we often talk about the on the field stuff, but a lot of teams, the intangibles are there. And one thing that James Palmer has made clear too is there's a multiple degrees of the character stuff that they have. And one of them is the love of football, especially with NIL. Are they just chasing the money, or are they going to sit there and compete? That's another thing with Jahdae Barron. There's no question about it. He's there to compete. He loves football, no doubt.
Yeah, and if you have a chance to just kind of last night, kind of getting to learn about Jahdae Barron, the person, and finding the interviews with him, there's an interview with Brett Coleman, who does good work covering the NFL draft. You can find him out there. I'm not sure who he's working, what umbrella now, but been doing the NFL draft stuff for a bit. There's an interview with Brett Coleman and Jahdae Barron, and he asks about his boxing background, about the peripherals of his vision to play his cornerback, but still see the movement and why he can break on things so much quicker. And Jahdae Barron just goes into a bunch of, we'll just call it like jargon about like everything going on there. I thought Brett Coleman was going to drop his mic and kiss him. Yeah, it was like his heart was beating out of his chest just listening to Jahdae Barron talk. So, I mean, I was ready to kiss my screen. Like, he was like, man, this kid gets it. Like, so is he going to end up being a superstar? Like, does he have the ceiling of somebody who's younger, maybe a little bit more fluid than him? Like, he tested, everybody was shocked to see him, how fast he ran. I think he's not as super duper fluid, not as big physical Cooper DeJean is. Yeah. But man, what a high floor culture guy. And you know what you're going to get there for him. It's just, I can't see him busting for reasons on the field. So excited about that. Jason says, I haven't heard one negative take on Barron. I gave you some. He's older. He's a little bit stiff. I don't think he's an overwhelming physical presence as a tackler. Like, he has the heart, but he's 200 with very short arm length. The arm length is an issue vertically playing the football. I don't think he's ideal playing on the boundary because of that lack of length against X receivers. But checks a lot of boxes for a draft class that didn't have many first-round grades. And Eric, I always think about things I wanted to say earlier that I didn't get to. Broncos, the way draft boards work is that everybody sees the big board and it's like 1 through 100 or whatever. That's not how teams do it. They have horizontal boards where things are based on tiers. So you have like 1 through 5, 6 through 16. I mean, who knows exactly how many are going to fit on the horizontal boards? Going Jahdae Barron without the trade down option, without going to Marion Hampton, Matthew Golden, whatever you will, he had to be 1 or 2 of the final guys on his own tier up there. So if like they had Hampton and Barron on the same tier, I think that you might have seen them go with the need of Hampton, But this to me says it's a different tier. He's in his own neighborhood of prospects. He's higher than Henderson or Hampton. Good process is you got to trust your guys and go with the guy that you graded higher. So that's, I fully believe he had to be higher on the vertical board in his own place on the horizontal board.
Yeah, and on that note, I mean, it fits with what I've said too about them viewing him as a top 10 player. Mike Klis also said that they had Jahdae Barron. He explained how Broncos do their board, horizontal board. He explained that in a little conversation last night that he had with somebody whose name escapes me at the moment. And what he said is that they had Jahdae Barron way up there, and there wasn't another guy that was close to him. That you had Jahdae Barron way up here, and then the next guy was way down there. He made it very clear that they were extremely high on it. And as for the age, I know it's a big issue with you, but you and I believe
for cornerback, like,
yeah, well,
because they fall off, man.
they do, and it's a conversation that you and I have had before about it. And I believe when we had the conversation, it was about Darius Alexander specifically. And I understand that it does change position to position, but we're starting to see teams care less about it because they're prioritizing that maturity, especially in the NIL world, because that maturity and that age and all that, and maybe less, money seeking, sticking around in college, the love of football. And one of the things too is look at what our coach has done when it comes to age. Bo Nix, older. Devon Vele, a grandpa in the NFL at wide receiver. Yep. Jahdae Barron. Age doesn't seem to be an issue for them. And going back to defensive line, going back to the guy that I just mentioned in conversation, makes me wonder if Darius Alexander is a guy that they have their eyes on. He's been linked off and on to Denver, mostly prior to free agency starting. There after the draft, there was some linkage happening. I wonder if he might be one to keep an eye on for them, with Sean Payton not really caring overall about age.
Eric, I don't know if I should send you a kiss or smack you across the screen, but after what you said about Alfred Collins falling because of the lack of pass rush juice in our own chat yesterday, and then now hyping Darius Alexander, I'm like, Nicholas, you just got to stick to your guns on some of this. Not that I'm against Alfred Collins or anything, but it's like, oh, we've gone full circle, sir. Did want to get to this as far as the length conversation. Somebody had a good statistic in here. Cristiano. I always like to put things in percentiles, right? Like, what does 33 actually mean compared to 30? 33, I mean, Chris Harris Jr. as borderline tackle arm length, and Barron, I think, is like in the third percentile, so for length. So there's a reason that he fell to pick 20, I believe, at the end of the day. With all of that, is he going to be boundary? What's the value there? But so smart. Again, Brian Branch, Trent McDuffie, I think those are the two buckets that you're talking about there for him. I do want to run this mock, Eric, right now. Hopefully you guys can see that on the board. Do you want me to zoom in, Eric?
Okay? You're good. I can see it.
Okay.
Chat, I was going to say, chat may want you to zoom in a little bit.
I wish I could get rid of the top here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's run it. This is all the first round stuff filled out here. No trades in this one. I'm expecting the Broncos to trade. I will say though, Eric, I think it's as likely they sit there at pick 51 and let the board come to them and take somebody and then trade up from 85, or do what they did 2 drafts ago and package a fourth with a future third to get a third pick day 2 today. So it's not just 51 to get up into 35 to 40 range. It's potentially moving up from 85 or getting a pick in that 90 to 100 range, moving up from 122. So, or both. I mean, the Broncos did both, moving up from Marvin Mims and then Riley Moss in that class. So no trades in this one. Let's let it rock. We're going fast here. Mike Green goes to the Patriots. That's fun. So here we are on the board. There goes Jared Ivey, Nick Scourton, Jack Besh is gone. Ravel. There goes Darius Alexander to the 49ers. Quinshad Judkins is gone. Mason Taylor is gone. It does look like we do have our chance at Travion Henderson. If we want, that would be the direction I would assume if it fell that way for the Broncos. But, I mean, Kevin Winston, probably not after taking Jahdae Barron. Omar Norman Lott, I like him a little bit better later, kind of a weird profile, but Higgins is available. Carson Schwessinger is an interesting available one. Caleb Johnson, you guys bullied me into that one over Quinshon Judkins earlier. Kyle Williams is really interesting here as well. Alfred Collins, also, I think we're probably starting to get into out of the ones who interest me here at that point. So what are you thinking? What's your gut say? Is it going to be the connection to Norman Omar Lott as the decider?
I just gotta say though, one thing that's absolutely funny about simulators is that it obviously can't take what happens in real life into fact. So Mason Taylor ended up going to the Bears in that, which in the simulator was absolutely cracks me up. But for me, I mean, when you look at the board, when I look at my board, there's one guy who stands far above the rest in terms of what's the best available, and that's Jaden Higgins. I know it's not the running back that a lot of people want, and I know it's not the defensive lineman that a lot of people want, but there is still a lot of running backs here. I mean, you mentioned all the running backs that are still available. There's a good chance somebody's still going to be there at 85. There's still a good chance that somebody's going to be there at tight end. And wide receiver, while the meat of this class here is on day 2, it is kind of more similar to corner than it is than it is tight end or running back, where you kind of want to get a guy early and not get, take the pick of what's left.
Mm-hmm.
I really like Jaden Higgins here. I don't think that's the way that the Broncos would go. Very obviously, I think that they would be looking at running back here, but we thought running back at pick 20. So maybe they are content waiting just a little bit longer on running back, letting the board see how the board falls, or taking the best player available here and then feeling that necessity to move up from 85 to go get a running back who falls a little bit.
Yeah, I think I'm going to override you here, Eric, because otherwise the chat is going to kill us.
I wouldn't be so sure. Chat's saying Higgins.
They're saying Higgins?
There's a lot of Higgins.
Let's do Higgins then. Okay, I had the simulator rocking, so let's do Higgins. In reality, this is kind of what we're talking about earlier. You let the board come to you. Let's just pause it here. One pick before. Annoying. There goes Arroyo, Royals, Scatabo, Sampson. You got Caleb Johnson gone. Oh my gosh. He's still available, Eric. We still have Henderson available. This would, if it's happened like this in real life, Iowa State back-to-back, that's sickening. But if this happens in real life, there's something wrong with Henderson's foot if he's falling like this. So we'll just let it fall. Here we are with the Broncos. Travion Henderson goes there. That's fine. Let's see what our running backs look like right now. Just to play the board. Giddens available. Jarquez Hunter. Jaden Blue. Tootin is pretty low for them. I mean, this is where it's like, okay, we're calling Breece Hall after the draft, right? Like that kind of thing. The one who stands out here for me, obviously, is Alfred Collins or Shamar Turner or Terrence Ferguson. I know that we already went offensive weapon. Everybody wants a running back, but trust the board.
And I mean, you've mentioned it. I mean, it's not just Kenneth Walker. It's not just Breece Hall. It's not just Tyler Algier. The other Seahawks running back is also available. They're content trading Zach Charbonnet.
I have some inside here in Seattle, and my understanding is both names are out there. It's Walker.
Kenneth Walker is the one they prefer. Yes.
Yeah.
Zach Charbonnet is available. I think that you're going to be able to get Kenneth Walker for cheaper, and for less because they would rather keep Charbonnet. Which I was going to get to that point, but hey.
Yep. Sorry. Sorry. I have some connections here in Seattle. Yeah.
I believe it was I was just going to mention how Josina Anderson or Diana Rossini, one of them was the ones that mentioned that either one of them is available, but Kenneth Walker seems to be one. So yeah, it's kind of one of those things of you make that call. Maybe 122 will get it done for one of those guys. Maybe it could be a future pick. I think that when you paused it, I think would have been a good point of Denver being like, okay, he's still here. Now we're going to go up and get him. And a lot of people, I've mentioned this before with Travion Henderson, a lot of people are forgetting about concerns about the foot injury. I've been mentioning it often. With my luck, Denver will end up taking Jadon Blue here, though, with my luck.
I think that you got too much talent here with Turner, Collins, and Terrence Ferguson. And I'll leave it between those three. Who would you go with? Turner's a little bit more of a pass rush weapon, versatile, a lot of energy. Collins, bigger player, 1-year starter, but like you don't find that size and length very often. And then Terrence Ferguson, the connection. I do wonder the pathway with now you got Higgins, who's like he's an X, but like he might even be better in the slot. You got Evan Ingram as a slot kind of option too, and then you bring in Terrence Ferguson, who has inline questions, long term, more slot. Is that like almost too much in that realm? But we've been preaching it. Take the talent.
It's tough because Alfred Collins, he has a calf strain that teams don't know about or don't know a whole lot about. They haven't been able to really dig into it. It happened after the combine, so they're not sure to the extent of what's going on there. Was in a walking boot at Texas's pro day. So that might scare teams off. And if he falls tonight, that's probably why Shamar Turner, he's the one who had the rod put in his leg, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So there's
Jordan Birch is available too.
There's some injury stuff there. And then Terrence Ferguson, I think that they would, with how things are, with the fact that Terrence in this simulator, if Terrence Ferguson doesn't go in the second round, I think they'd be a little bit more content to wait at tight end and see how the board falls up. Jordan Birch, I'm glad you mentioned him. There's been a lot of buzz between Jordan Birch and the Broncos, with a lot of people believing that he's going to be one of those guys that's going to make sure he plays at about 290 pounds and fits that mold to be John Frankenmeyer's replacement.
All right. Well, we're sitting here. I wish I could see the running backs still available, but there goes Turner. There goes Ferguson, Caldwell. I don't think any running backs came off the board yet for the Broncos. Let's just run it. Okay, we're here. Isaac Taslaw, Gunnar Helm still available. The Broncos did a lot of work on him. Mello Dotson, Miles Frazier, Jarquez Hunter. How do you feel about Jarquez Hunter here? Jaden Blue also. Man, I think the Broncos would go Jaden Blue here.
I think they'd go Jaden Blue here, or Gunnar Helm. Like somebody from Texas, right? That's what we're doing. Somebody from Texas.
Let's go Jaden Blue. I think that he's somebody who keep an eye on.
Okay, to be positive about Jaden Blue, he is very explosive. As a receiver, as a ball carrier, he's extremely explosive, and he has some of that ability to line up out in the slot, line up wide, and be moved around. The fumble issues scares the living crap out of me. I mean, and we talked about it, possessions, all that. Big reason for Jahdae Barron is he can go give the offenses extra possessions. And hey, in this case, Jahdae Barron can just possibly, take the ball right back and cancel out the Jaden Blue fumbles. But the size issues concern me. The fact how few touches he's had. We've talked about it with size. There's some medical stuff with him as well. But with running backs, there is a very, very few. I think only one in the last 20 years who's gone on to be successful in the NFL that's had under 300 carries, and only 3 who's had under 400 carries. So the sample size with Jaden Blue is very small. He's at 280 touches total. And granted, part of that is because of who he was stuck behind there at Texas. But again, the explosive ability, I could see Sean Payton absolutely loving that and believing that they can coach fumbles out, which to an extent you can. Would it be, hit that 180, 1 every 80, 1 every 90 that you typically look for in running backs? Probably not, but you could probably get it 1 every 50 or so. And if you just mitigate his touches and use them in a specialized role, in a niche kind of role, you can kind of make it work out for you for your offense. And Sean Payton, if anybody can figure out a way to do that, it is Sean Payton.
Yeah, and I'm also going to force a trade for Breece Hall here for the Broncos. And you can tell me if I'm off my rocker, but we're getting Breece Hall in their 207 Chiefs 7th round pick and 2026 6th. We're sending them a 2026 4th and 197. So day 3 pick, we're still getting some value back in the future there. I don't know if it's too much, but Breece Hall's kind of no man's land, injury stuff out there, wanting out. I think it makes sense. So I'm going to force that just to make the chat happy. Pairing Breece Hall with Jaden Blue, I mean, that's a different spot for the Broncos. So we're on the clock. Go ahead.
And they have that connection with the Jets.
Yep.
George Payton's right-hand man is their general manager now.
Yep. So we're on the clock here. You got Jalen Travis, interesting developmental tackle. Thomas Fidone, a really high ceiling tight end. I think higher ceiling than the Jake Brennanstool, who's a little bit more of a tweener body type. You got Keandre Lambert-Smith still. A lot of running backs available. Denzel Burke. You've got Ransaw out here as well. A lot of interesting body types. I mean, who did we go? Did we go with the defensive tackle earlier already? Yeah, we did. Let's cheat it, Eric. Let's get our guy. Let's get our next. Where is he at? Jay Toye.
Or Desmond Watson. I mean, 450 pounds.
He can't play it out, the dude. No, no way. This guy's going to go so much higher. I just want to call it shot here.
And Desmond Watson, he's going to end up in Philadelphia and be the pusher in the tush push. 120%.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no doubt. So we're on the clock. So we got 2 running backs. We got back-to-back picks here, Eric. So it doesn't really matter. Do you want to bring in Cody Lindenberg, I know you're a fan of him. He makes some sense down here. Jackson Slater, Jalen Conyers, Jamie Horn makes sense. Jay Higgins. Who are you thinking?
Tight end.
We got 2 picks here. So
we still haven't taken tight end, right?
I do not think so.
Well, can we see tight ends?
Dipri, I love Dipri in line.
I was gonna say Conyers, Dipri, Monteveo out of UCLA. He could be an option. He has the size to be a good blocker, just don't really see it. To me, when I watch him, he looks like Tarzan, plays like Jane, and maybe that can change. But Conyers, there's a lot of versatility with him. I mean, we always talk about getting a quarterback to make into a Taysom Hill role. Well, why not get a tight end to make into a Taysom Hill role? Because Jalen Conyers, he's done that.
Yeah, without a doubt. Got Joshua Gray still available here. I saw that we had our guy Jackson Slater. Teddy Buchanan is interesting. I think interior offensive line, this is a good spot to add somebody that's developmental.
Can I see just the interior offensive line real quick?
Gray is still available.
Joshua Gray. I mean, if he was there, that would be it. Nash Jones, that's somebody that Denver brought in for a visit. They met with him. They were at his pro day. They really like him. Jackson Slater's another one that they like. I absolutely love Joshua Gray and his ability to slide in at center, has that center guard versatility. Nash Jones is pretty much just a guard, which kind of hurts him there. And yeah, the Broncos, they like their interior offensive lineman to have that positional versatility.
So there we go. There's the board. We ended up getting Breece Hall and still getting Jaden Blue as well. Got a defensive tackle there, and then guard, center, and a tight end. So with Breece Hall, see, there's options for the Broncos on this one. So we're okay. A lot of fun on that one. Yeah, see, there you go. Your guy, Dolak from Buffalo. I know that's Eric's guy. We're going to be okay. Today's going to be fun. We'll see what happens. I'm expecting the Broncos to be aggressive, and hope it's good. Yeah, stop sleeping on Devin Neal. Not sleeping on Devin Neal. He's a fine 4th-round prospect who checks a lot of boxes, and I think this crazy small hands kind of concern me, but he's good. I just wish he had a little bit more juice, but round 4, do-it-all kind of guy? Absolutely. Like I said earlier, I'm expecting an absolute onslaught of players. So I got to wrap it up here. I got a text from my wife saying I'm going to kill you for going as long as I have. So also after last night. So appreciate you. Drip Tie hates our picks. Well, watch for where they actually go in reality compared to where we slotted them here. I think we're probably, unless there's injuries, 20 picks later on them than where they'll come off the board and maybe gaming the board a little bit. But final thoughts, Eric, before. Good. And yeah, calling Neil fine is sleeping on him. Maybe I am. I think it's just a reality of this this draft class in general, that there's so many running backs available that I think you can call him fine. But we'll see. I take DJ Gaines over him.
We have some stars and super chats that I don't think we got to. Kenny Kirkpatrick saying, good morning, everyone. With the addition of Jahdae Barron, the Broncos upgraded from a PS2 to now a PS4. Best cornerback in the draft. Good luck, wide receivers versus our corners. Yeah, and I think if you factor in medicals, I think Jahdae Barron is the best pure corner. Obviously, again, I said this last night, pulling Travis Hunter out of the conversation because he's kind of that back and forth offense defense guy. And then Will Johnson, he has the serious concerns about longevity with his knees. I believe David Cromwell, I don't think we got to this, with the $9 saying if Denver wants Henderson, they have to move up to 38. Eric Bieniemy is the Bears running back coach, and he and Henderson have a long-standing relationship. Very possible. All depends on the foot injury. That's going to be a big thing. But again, as we saw with Colson Loveland, teams were concerned about his torn labrum. As we saw with Derek Harmon, teams were concerned about his left shoulder. Injuries are not the same from team to team. Another one from David Cromwell with a $4.9. Would you piss and moan if Denver burns their 2026 third? I sure would. Depends on how they do it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to piss and moan. We'll see what happens here. I love the discourse here of not everybody loving that. I wouldn't be shocked if they did it, though. All the same. But Riptide is coming back. I hate your picks. That's okay, man. We got Jordan Birch. Dane Brugler mocked him to the Broncos at 51, and we got him at 85. So a lot of fun overall. And a lot of Devin Neal love. I think he's good. He's somewhere going to go with 122. That's an option for him. I would not take him at 85 personally. But everyone, thanks. A lot of fun. We'll see you again tonight. Make sure you're following Eric and I on Twitter. Eric is at Erick Trickel. I'm at Nick Kendell MHH. Also follow us at Mile High Huddle. We're over at Facebook.com/Mile High Huddle and Facebook.com/Mile High Huddle Pod. And subscribe, like, and share over on YouTube. If you haven't done so yet, please click the thumbs up on the way out. You guys have a great one. Yeah, we did see Riley Mills. I think we already took Birch, right? And I would rather have some mass there. We already took other guys. So a lot of fun. Yeah, I'm a Giddens over Neal person myself too, but doesn't mean I'm going to be right or wrong. We'll see. Eric, elevator pitch, final thought before we get out.
Yeah, I mean, sit back, enjoy the draft tonight. Watch what the Broncos do. They're going to at least try to do some work and move around the board. Obviously, it takes two to tango. We'll see what happens. And George Payton, it's got to be the right price to move up. Future picks, there's a possibility they're used. And I hope we see you guys tonight. And the draft starts at 7 p.m. Eastern time tonight, right? Hour earlier.
Yep. So I think it'll be 4:00 my time, but appreciate everyone. So 5:00 Mountain, but appreciate everybody. You have a good one. We will see you all next time. You guys have a great one. Continue to choose kindness, compassion. We'll see you again tonight. Favorite day, day 2. So have a great one. Go Broncos.